My name is Tina. Standing in the silent backyard of what was once my childhood home, I'm surrounded by stunned faces and an uncomfortable quiet. Just moments ago, I dropped a bombshell on my family. I'd sold the house they thought was theirs. It all started at the closing attorney's office. I was sitting there, signing the final documents, when my phone buzzed with a flurry of photos from the family group chat. My parents, Tom and Linda, were hosting a big backyard barbecue at what they believed was their house. But little did they know it was mine. 3 years ago, my parents hit a rough patch. Dad's small business went under, and they were on the verge of losing the house to foreclosure. I stepped in and bought the house for $385,000, paying off their mortgage. I let them stay their rent free while they got back on their feet. They were embarrassed about needing help from their daughter, so they asked me not to tell the extended family. Everyone assumed they still owned the home, and I didn't correct them. Over the past 3 years, my parents' financial situation improved. Dad got a new job, and Mom went back to work. They paid off their other debts. We discussed options. They could buy the house back from me at the current market value, or I'd sell it and help them find a more affordable place. But they didn't choose either option. Instead, they started planning major renovations. As I sat in the attorney's office, my phone buzzed again. Mom was excited about the expansion plans. They were going to add a master suite, expand the kitchen, and convert the garage into a guest house. They even planned to take out a home equity loan on a house they didn't own. I'd just sold the house to a lovely retired couple, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, for $520,000. The attorney, Sarah Johnson, stamped the documents official. She reminded me that the Thompsons would take possession next Monday, and I needed to inform my parents soon. I drove straight to the barbecue. The backyard was filled with relatives, and a large whiteboard showed the proposed renovations, estimated to cost $175,000. My brother, Mark, spotted me and invited me to see the plans. Mom was beaming, talking about how wonderful the house would be. Dad boasted about using the home equity loan. I had to break the news. I told them that I'd bought the house 3 years ago when they were facing foreclosure. I showed them the emails I'd sent about the sale, but they'd ignored them. Mom dismissed it, saying they were too busy. But there was no more time. The sale was final, and the Thompsons would take possession on Monday. The backyard fell silent. Dad couldn't believe it. Aunt Lucy pushed forward and learned that I'd owned the house for 3 years. Mom was in tears, asking where they were supposed to go. I'd offered them a rental property in a nearby neighborhood at a discounted family rate, but they'd never responded. Mark was angry, saying I'd planned to throw our parents out on the street. But I'd given them months of notice, multiple opportunities to buy the house back, and tried to help them plan. They'd chosen to ignore the reality because of their pride. I told them to pack, find temporary housing, and work with a realtor if they wanted to buy. If they couldn't find a place by Monday, there were other options like extended stay hotels or staying with Mom's sister in another city. In the end, I left the silent barbecue. On Monday, I met the Thompsons at the house. My parents had moved out, leaving a note saying they didn't understand why I'd done this and wouldn't be at family events for a while. 3 months later, my parents rented a 2-bedroom apartment. Mark and his family stayed in their own place. It turned out the renovation plans were Mark's idea, a way to pressure our parents into making room for him. Mom sends occasional texts about the grandchildren, and Dad doesn't contact me at all. The Thompsons send me Christmas cards and photos of the house. They've made it look better than ever. I still have the closing documents and the purchase agreement, a reminder of how I saved the house from foreclosure. I'm not sorry. I gave my parents every chance, but they chose pride over planning.